And I said, I would. I'll look at it. I'm going to look at it in the same way that we looked at digital assets when I was chairman of the agency. And I did a full analysis of it. I went back and I said, in my view, in my studied view, both as a lawyer and as a former chairman, XRP is not a security. He said, is that something you would publish that view? And I said, yes, I would like to do that because I'd like to bring the clarity. And so in 2020, I published in a scholarly law journal, the International Financial Law Review, a scholarly piece examining XRP and declaring it was not a security. Well, sure enough, 6 months later, the SEC sued and began that whole long saga over several years. Well, lo and behold, the judge finally came down and ruled, guess what? XRP is not a security, and it was the law review piece, I think, that influenced a lot of that decision. So that's one of the stories I tell in the book. I think readers will find that very interesting. Well, there was a number of characteristics, but one is it's a real tool. It's a utility token. It's designed to do things. It's not a securities offering. You know, when we think about a securities offering, that's a way for an enterprise to raise capital. It's not a way to build a network. XRP is a digital network that allows for financial money transfer. It has all the hallmarks of a utility token, not a securities token. And the SEC now has, fortunately for all of our sakes, come out with a tokenomics, basically a framework for what's a digital security, what's not. And sure enough, it has determined that XRP is not a security.
Yeah. Well,
you know, the beauty of mining is you can do it when demand is low. Right? We can develop much more diversified, using AI systems, much more diversified power usage to actually to even the curve.
You know what? You're actually speaking of a business that won the Hack the Block hackathon hosted by the XRP Commons during Paris Blockchain Week.
Well, great minds think alike.
What's going on?
Oh, wow. Go easy.
Yeah. What's going on? Chris, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Ray. Good to see you.
It's always a pleasure to see you.
Ray with the raspy voice, my friend. You're just chalking up a storm.
Oh, well, there's so much to talk about here at the XRP Las Vegas conference, the largest XRP conference in the world. Day 2, by the way.
I mean, and it's packed. I mean, the buzz in the air is amazing.
Yeah. Well, the reason why I've lost this voice, I've probably done about 30 interviews yesterday and today, plus chanting rah, 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 XRP down the line here and the Bitcoin conference earlier in the week. So I've been doing my part, but it's starting to leave a little rasp in the voice.
You got to save a little bit. There's more left to go. So just hang in there, Ray.
This train doesn't stop here. It goes to consensus next week.
I'll be down there. I'll see you there.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, Chris, you just came off stage here. You were speaking on stage with Brad Kimes, the creator and founder and host of the XRP Las Vegas conference. You talked about the speed of money. You talked about the landscape, macroeconomics at large, the Strait of Hormuz, how that might impact the financial landscape, the ripple effects. Do you mind reiterating some of the things that you had said with those in the audience?
Well, I'll tell you what, one of the things I'm focused on, Ray, I've got a new book coming out in October. It's called The New Adventures of Crypto Dad. And as I explained in the beginning, if you're looking for a textbook for crypto, that's not it. But if you're looking at some of the great stories of how we got to where we are and where we're going, this is it, okay? And one of the stories I tell is my own origin story with XRP. And that is way before the SEC lawsuit. I was approached by Stu Alderati, general counsel at Ripple, and he said to me, look at XRP. I had just come out of the commission. I'd served 5 years at the CFTC, the last 2.5 years as its chairman. He said, look at XRP. What do you think? Is this a security or not? And I said, I would. I'll look at it. I'm going to look at it in the same way that we looked at digital assets when I was chairman of the agency. And I did a full analysis of it. I went back and I said, in my view, in my studied view, both as a lawyer and as a former chairman, XRP is not a security. He said, is that something you would publish that view? And I said, yes, I would like to do that because I'd like to bring the clarity. And so in 2020, I published in a scholarly law journal, the International Financial Law Review, a scholarly piece examining XRP and declaring it was not a security. Well, sure enough, 6 months later, the SEC sued and began that whole long saga over several years. Well, lo and behold, the judge finally came down and ruled, guess what? XRP is not a security, And it was the law review piece, I think, that influenced a lot of that decision. So that's one of the stories I tell in the book. I think readers will find that very interesting.
Yeah, 100%. For those in the audience, if you would be willing to share, what were some of those characteristics that underscored XRP not a security in your mind's eye?
Well, there was a number of characteristics, but one is it's a real tool. It's a utility token. It's designed to do things. It's not a securities offering. You know, when we think about a securities offering, that's a way for an enterprise to raise capital. It's not a way to build a network. XRP is a digital network that allows for financial money transfer. It has all the hallmarks of a utility token, not a securities token. And the SEC now has, fortunately for all of our sakes, come out with a tokenomics, basically a framework for what's a digital security, what's not. And sure enough, it has determined that XRP is not a security.
Yeah. Well,
it could be a mechanism of issuing a security.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, because it's a tool, it's a token, it's a tool used for different networks, and you can issue securities on it, but that doesn't make it a security itself, right? Yeah. If you buy securities for me, and or let's say I'm issuing securities and I do it through the wires, that the wires don't suddenly become securities. The security is the security. That XRP itself is not a security. It may be used for security issuance, but itself is not a security.
Oh, wonderful. Let's shift gears now, Chris. Last time I interviewed you, we were talking about stablecoins. Now RLUSD is in the arena. What are your thoughts on RLUSD, especially as coming from Paris Blockchain Week, where the major discussions were MiCA, the Clarity Act, soon to come into play post the Genius. So even interviewing Tim Draper at the Bitcoin conference earlier this week, step one was the Genius Act. Step two is Clarity. What do you think? What type of impact will regulations make for market participants like a Ripple who issues RLUSD, a compliant stablecoin?
As I said on the stage here at XRP Las Vegas, I believe that stablecoins are going to propel the dollar to be the reference currency of the future. And yet those stablecoins themselves need to move on digital rails. And so XRP, because of its ability to move capital, to move value across the metaverse, can be very much one of those rails on which stablecoins, and I fully expect it will be.
Yeah, that's my view. Because many of the people were at Paris Blockchain Week were inquiring, are stablecoins infrastructure, or is it something else? It's something else. It's something that's the rails moving the value.
Well, stablecoins move on different rails. Some of them move on Ethereum. Some of them move on others. So they themselves are not the rails. They move on rails. Yeah. XRP may very well serve as one of those key rails in a future that's going to be dominated by dollar-based stablecoins.
So you're writing a book. You're traveling the world. What else are you up to, Chris?
Oh my goodness, I'm very, very busy. I'm advising a lot of early stage companies that are building a lot of the infrastructure we're going to see in the future, and I'm really enjoying that work. You know, before I was in government, I built a company myself. GFI Group was one of the largest trading platforms for over-the-counter derivatives, and we took that from venture funded stage all the way through IPO. So I think I have something to offer companies that are coming up, not just because I understand the regulatory landscape, but because I also understand the process of going from an early stage company all the way through IPO.
Oh man, now you're speaking my language, Chris, with my past experience in my past life, seeing the progression of early stage startups move into late stage growth, then the IPO. Me personally, as a young adult, young child, young individual, I never had the opportunity to participate in these pre-IPO investment opportunities. But now we're on the cusp where fractionalization, opening up the gates and access to everyday individuals for a small amount of money that we can afford. Yeah. You're not having to pay the millions of dollars to get on the cap tables of a SpaceX, which we may not even have that relationship with anyways. So now the field is being leveled. What are your thoughts? What does this new world look like when when we're in this platform-based era?
When people come to me and say, I don't really understand digital assets, I said, well, think about this. If you remember film photography and its transition into digital photography, how suddenly those digital photographs live now on our smartphones. We can trade them, we can transfer them, we can edit them, we can do things with them. And yet those film photographs that we took 20 years ago sit in some dusty album in the attic, and they're never seen again. Yeah. Digital photography has changed. It's brought photography into our own homes. It's bypassed the Kodak film delivery place. It's bypassed the post office where you have to go and put photographs in an envelope and send them places. Well, digital finance is going to do the same thing. It's going to give us that immediacy with our finance that heretofore have been in the hands of our brokers, been in the hands of our bankers, been in the hands of our lawyers and our accountants and our trustees. Suddenly now we're going to be able to program our money to do things for our kids, for our grandchildren in the future. Money is going to be able to move not just in space, but in time through our own ability to program it. So money is going to become like digital. We're going to go from analog money that was handled by others to digital money that's going to be handled by us.
Yeah. We are at a time where we can become our own bank, and it's just so amazing. We've got Uphold over here rolling out some new products where we're able to use our assets as collateral and take out microloans. Amazing, so we don't have to sell our assets every time we swipe our credit card. That's so great.
So great.
Yeah. Now, we're dancing on the cusp of an insane flywheel effect, because to your point, the speed of which when you take that photo, put that photo online, and then the impact how that photo may be used from a personal basis, from an enterprise use case, and then the means of that value exchange or the creation of value is instantaneously.
Can I build on that photo analogy?
Yeah.
So my youngest son, Henry Giancarlo, is right now, as we speak, in China, in Western China, in a monastery above the clouds. And just before I went on here, I was looking at a video that he just took hours ago, and I'm looking at it now. That's the immediacy that digital photography and digital video and TikTok and others have brought to our world.
Yeah.
You have to extrapolate the same impact on our finances. Right now, doing something financial is hard to do. It can't happen on weekends. It can't happen after hours. It's totally dependent on all these third parties. But in this future that's right on the cusp, powered by technology like XRP, we're going to be able to do things financially immediately, anytime, with anybody in the world on the other side of the globe in financial transactions that heretofore have been very limited. So absolutely, flywheel effect. We're on the cusp of this. I mean, as I said on stage, I am very, very bullish about innovation coming. And it's happening here in America in a way it wasn't for 4 years, which is so great.
Look, I know that you're a busy man, so you got to go, but you mentioned you're advising multiple startups. Any themes or core themes or market participants that you'd be willing to, without giving names, businesses?
Well, so I won't give names, but what I would say, I'm very excited about the interplay between information technology, artificial intelligence, and power. This new future has to be powered with enormous amounts of energy generation, chip production, and artificial intelligence driving it. Those are the intersections where I'm very, very, very excited about. Power is electrical power, energy generation power, along with AI computational power, is going to be the new digital gold, and it's going to be the new digital oil. The countries that have enormous computing power, have enormous electrical and energy power, are going to be they're going to power the future. And we in the United States cannot be held back by political, nihilism or not in my backyardism. We have to build the power capacity. We have to build the mining capacity. We have to build the chip production capacity to dominate that future.
And to that point, is that why do you see a growing trend with even the use case of a Bitcoin? You drop a mining rig wherever you need or a facility, tap it into a Bitcoin, use a Starlink so it's connected to Wi-Fi, and then you start participating in a global network.
Totally. And the beauty of mining is you can do it when demand is low, right? We can build much more diversified, using AI systems, much more diversified power usage to actually to even the curve. Right now we get this enormous demand during the day, no demand at night. That's a waste, right? So using artificial intelligence and a network ability to find where power is when it's needed is going to be part of the future.
You know what? You're actually speaking of a business that won the Hack the Block hackathon hosted by the XRPL Commons during Paris Blockchain Week. The team name was called Megawatt. What they were using was AI to source the energy. Well, they would also store the energy, getting it in off-peak times and then distributing it when it was economically feasible.
Well, great minds think alike. I mean, this is the future, and I'm excited. I'm excited to be. I only wish I was 30 years old, not double that number, because I would be building companies like mad right now. So what I'm going to do, with the rest of my public life, is help young entrepreneurs build those companies. If I can offer them the ability to see around a few corners because I've been there, so be it. But that's really, I'm so excited about this time.
For those builders who are hungry to participate in the forward trajectory of the future, how would they reach out to you? What's the best way to start?
Oh, just email me, chris@giancarlo.org, and I'm there for you.
Boom. Chris, this has been a great conversation. I appreciate
Ray,
you.
good. Always good.
Always great to see you.
Get your voice back soon, Ray. We need your voice loud and clear.
XRP. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Thanks, Chris.
It was fun.
Thank you, sir. It's always a good one.
You can use some of that.